Hey Matt, can you check out the ticker NRXP? It has a 300% borrow fee and has run up before. This is the highest I've seen in fee. They're working on a variant vaccine, NRXP. That one sounds insanely binary. Like either they're going to get the approval and destroy it and rip higher, or they're not going to get the approval and it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, the chart is ugly, 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 ugly. This is a ugly duckling of a chart, I suppose. Like, man, like, what would you even want? Like, all it's done is downtrend. It spikes. This thing brutally spikes and sells off, spikes, sells off, spikes, sells off, spikes, sells off, spikes, sells off. If it does spike, and if you're fortunate enough to be in it at the appropriate time, do not get greedy. Its spikes look like they last for like what, 1, 2, maybe 3 days. But even if I were in this and it spiked huge in one day, I'd be happy to take my profits. I NRXP. Let me look up its short information. NRXP. NRXP. It's short. No, this is not a short squeeze play. You could argue it's a low float play. Utilization is 100%. The cost to borrow is 400%. But the shares on loan are 2.42 million. But the short interest is only 5%. Um, so that's not exactly where I would want to see the numbers on this one. It can move. I mean, we know pharmaceutical stocks can move, like regardless of a short squeeze play, and there are some shorts, and the cost to borrow is high. But cost to borrow, it doesn't really tell you much about the short interest. It's more, I guess, somewhat indicative and somewhat correlated to the utilization. They're not the exact same thing, but the utilization is 100%. And since the cost to borrow is so high, that's telling me that more people are trying to borrow it, but people are unwilling to lend their shares out of this company. But would I say this is like a primo short squeeze setup? Not in my opinion. And that's just from the numbers. And then when you add in the fact that this is a pharma play, and yeah, I think from what you said that they're working on a vaccine, that's just so binary. Like you're basically just flipping a coin, and either they're going to pull it off and get approval, or they're not. But this thing will either shoot up or completely collapse. I don't really see an in between scenario on that one. It's just I'd rather play situations where I feel like I have more than 50% chance of winning. Not these. I mean, pharma plays in my mind, and maybe this isn't right, but in my mind, pharma plays are all just flipping a quarter. It's just a 50% bet over and over and over and over again. Um, and I don't like that. I'd rather plays where I think I have more edge in my favor.